I'm sure all of you have heard the news by now, and in case you haven't, the other night Spartan put out a statement formally benching himself from the E United roster. Now why? Why would he do this, and what do I think of the whole situation? Well, first things first, upon reading everything from both parties, because E United did also put out a statement following Spartans, there are a lot of conflicting claims. Now this all started because Ryan made a move right before Anaheim to drop Nick in place of Formal. A move that on paper I could see as being pretty reasonable, for at the time Formal was a free agent, he wasn't an optic yet, and seemed to be getting better and better as a player. Now what Ryan messed up on is trying to do this all secretly, which back in the day, for anyone who might be new, something like this really wasn't too unordinary. Teams were notorious for switching right on a dime right before roster lock. It wasn't anything too crazy. And the sort of shadiness you see here is something that Ryan is really accustomed to doing. Still wrong, nevertheless. Now, obviously, this attempt ended up failing, and what resulted was a Nick heading up Spartan at 3 a.m., wondering why he was being dropped, and that's just kind of where everything went loose. So now, following Kansas City, Spartan claims he received multiple offers from different teams to jump ship, and this is something that E United claims, at least in a formal proposition, was never made, but they do admit there was at least interest. And Spartan, sick of the team dynamics, sick of the fines, and moreover sick of Ryan once again, decides to make a set of demands to solve this whole issue. And in a situation like this, I believe Spartan actually has insane leverage, being honestly the most important player on his team and a superstar in general. So here were his demands. 1, either E United drops Ryanoob in retaliation to what he had done, or 2, they let Spartan leave to follow one of his offers. Now this is where things get a little dicey, because apparently, by E United's word, they were working together as a full team to make a resolution through all of this, through Spartan's demands. However, Spartan had decided to hastily bench himself, coming to Twitter stating that the organization had already decided that he is not for sale, untradeable, and will not be playing for anyone else besides E United this year. And this is the thing that I feared with larger contracts coming into Halo, because I really think we are in an era now where making team changes is so difficult, and moreover is so expensive to actually carry out. Just like how Pistola is sitting out right now, a lot of that has to do with his contract and just how difficult it is to buy out a player or just make a trade that both parties agree with. And one final detail, it does seem like E United is exploring a lateral sort of trade with another organization, which with the caliber of player that Spartan is, you could see some demands for players like Stellar, Falcated, Bound, and even Trippy if I had to guess. Possibly even Lucid or Renegade, which even with how unrealistic that might sound, those are probably the caliber of players that they would be willing to trade for Spartan. But right now it seems like they have yet to receive a reply. That's why they mentioned that Spartan's benching was sort of premature. The problem with this though is that Spartan claims that he is currently untradeable, so this might not even be true. In the end, I think it is evident, regardless of which side you believe, that we are probably not seeing the full truth here between both stories. However, based on some of the details and Spartan's recent tendency of exposing what happens behind closed doors, and honestly some of E United's history regarding benched players, because it's not pretty, I am more inclined to believe Spartan's word in this situation. E United has done this sort of thing before. Prime example is Gunless. Gunless, if you guys don't know, he is a Call of Duty pro who was once under E United, who at one point was benched, and due to his value, E United refused to trade him to any other team, and he was forced to sit out the rest of the season. At the end of the day though, what are the consequences and what are the possibilities for the future? I think that there are 4 possibilities here. 1, the organization that E United is currently in talks with, which, you know, if this is even true, actually agrees on the Spartan trade. And if that's the case, you could very well be seeing what I think is likely to be a phase Spartan. 2, E United accepts Spartan's demands to bench Ryanoob and find a replacement player from another roster. And that player, I could see numerous options for. I really don't think you need a carbon copy of Ryanoob's playstyle to make E United work. However, what Ryanoob does bring to E United is his leadership and communication qualities, which I do think is preferred for this player. And based on prior history, I think that Pistola would actually be a brilliant fit here. And I don't know how that trade would go in terms of contracts, if it would be smooth or not, but this is something that I could see very likely happening if this scenario played out. And also with Ryan's recent birth of his daughter, which congratulations to Ryanu by the way, this could inadvertently give more time for a benched Ryanu to spend more time with his newborn daughter. 3. Spartan remains on the bench, E United refuses to trade or accept any buyout offers, and he unfortunately sits out for the rest of the season. And 4, which I still think is possible, the team just makes amends and they just go back to how they were before. Which, albeit likely not to happen, I still think is possible. I do think at this time it's really sort of unpredictable to see what's going to actually happen here, but at the end of the day, I really hope we get to see Spartan once again on land this year. I think it would be a huge loss if we had one of the biggest superstars of this year have to sit out for the rest of the competition. That's just terrible for competition, and it's just something that really no one wants to see. And one more thing, I have recorded my thoughts on KC video. This one was a little more pressing to get my thoughts out for early, but that video will be following very shortly. But anyways, that about does it for this video. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next time.